it's so interesting how your tribe changes through your journey, just the people that come into your lives, like you were saying, Susan, when you're willing to kind of go out on a limb and do something for yourself, your tribe might shift. And there's a little bit of a challenge with that sometimes too, of letting go of friends who, like you were saying earlier, Nadine, don't speak your language anymore because you're using new words and phrases that resonate more with you. And maybe your friends are not quite on the same journey as you. And so they kind of start to fade away as you build a tribe on your growth journey. And so it can be a bittersweet bite.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Authentic Conversations. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. Today we have some special guests with us. I am Amarelis, and I am here with Susan, Kelly, and Nadine. Hello. Thank you, ladies, for being here today. I'm so excited.
Hello. Thanks for having us.
Hello, Sawubona.
Oh, yes. I cannot wait to talk about Sawubona. We see you. You guys have a podcast that you just started. You're on your 18th episode. Am I correct?
You are. Yes. Hard to believe.
I'm enjoying them and they're beautiful. And Susan and I love in our conversations here to just bring in different guests and for them to share their stories and how the empowerment of moving through life and learning lessons, how you fall into these different categories and decisions. So guys, just share a little bit about yourselves.
Yeah, so I'm Kelly Cole-Smith, and I am a conscious parenting coach. So I work with parents, actually, not the kids, but I work with the parents on, just guiding them to be more connected and centered with their kids, to just bring more peace and joy to their homes. And it's just something that I absolutely love to do. And Nadine and I connected a couple years ago with a coaching program that we were doing. And then we got hired by the coach that we were taking her program. So we met each other fast and furious and just kind of had a crash course in taking calls for this relationships coach that we were working with. And we just hit it off very quickly, and I'll let her share her story.
Yes, God puts the people in your path to kind of meet you where you're at on your journey. And I definitely think that Kelly was one of those, people that I can totally say was divine connection. The universe brought us together, and we have been co-creating and witnessing each other on our journeys for the last year and a half.
Yeah, it's been about that.
Yeah. So I am Nadine Perez, and I focus on interior design wellness. So just building nourishing foundations from the inside out, helping families just create wholeness in their homes by starting with themselves first. So I use a few modalities like human design and feng shui to create positive energy, support healing, abundance, and just loving environments.
That's awesome. And you guys are in two different parts of the country. Correct me if I'm wrong.
We are.
We are in different spots. Nadine's in Florida and I'm in Montana. So we rarely get to see each other, but we had the beautiful blessing of being able to spend a week together in Florida. And that's where I got to meet Amaryllis. So I was so excited to meet her in person as well.
It's so amazing when this is a connection that it's the same story that Susan and I have. When you're asking, right, we're talking about connecting with God's source for our audience, whatever that is for them. And I remember feeling really, really at a point where I needed to get back to a source root, whatever that meant for me. And I was literally looking for churches, anything, because I knew that a part of me needed that connection and every connection. And I remember, I love how the beautiful Facebook and Instagram starts kind of also listening to what you're looking for, right? So be careful. We talk a lot about this in Authentic Conversation about what are your surroundings and what are you watching, whether it's TikTok and the media, because the AI does study you. And that blessing of that AI brought Susan to my page on Facebook. It was a sound healing event that she was holding at the barnyard in New York, where I was like around my corner, my backyard, you know, and I'm just like, I'm booking this. And it was just magic from that day on. And we've connected, and Authentic Conversation and the Athlete Whisperer has grown from us holding space for each other. A support team, you know.
That's amazing. I think it's so cool how you look at the blessing of social media and the AI, you know, that it uses, the algorithms that it uses to bring us content that we like, right? And I always talk to my kids about this too, because it's like it can be a blessing. You know, whatever you're paying attention to is what you're drawing into you, and it's how the universe works too, as well, right? It's kind of a microcosm example of how the universe works.
Exactly. And, you know, we love Don Miguel Ruiz. I mean, be impeccable with your word. You know, AI extends, you know, well beyond just what you're scrolling on social media. Whatever it is that you're talking about, you know, is being picked up and fed back to you. So, you know, watch what you say, watch, you know, who you're saying it to, how you're saying it, especially how you're saying it to yourself, because it's so important. You know, and I think you guys met at a conference, you know, at a workshop. You know, you both individually made a conscious decision to continue your education or to grow. And, you know, that growing in that moment brought you to the same place. Share with us some of your, what was some of the instant connections? Like, how did you know that you were speaking each other's language? Or, you know, like, was it a feeling? Was it a conversation? Where do you think it kind of stemmed from? Like people in like places, but beyond that.
I was at a very vulnerable point in my life, and seeking, just rediscovering myself, hence trying to figure out what my next step would be as far as a career. And so I was in a very exploratory kind of state of mind. And I was just beginning my journey into my awakening. And it felt very isolating, to be honest, you know.
Yeah.
Family and very close friends, just really what I was experiencing, the new language, it just wasn't resonating with anyone. And so I felt very lonely in my early beginnings of this journey, where I'm like, what is happening to me? How did I get here? And like this, you know, as I'm strengthening my relationship with God, and asking lots of questions and seeking knowledge. You know, Kelly, I felt like, was on a similar journey. And we really experienced something that I just, it was like getting a PhD in relationships, like a crash course. And I think the two of us were in the same space, experiencing the same thing, and on a very similar parallel paths.
Yes.
And so it was, oh my goodness, how do I let my guard down with this person? But I know that she's experiencing the same exact thing as me. And how do we just make that connection? It's through vulnerability and sharing, like, I am scared. I don't know what I am doing, to be quite honest.
Right.
And we have this amazing coach, and it was just sharing through what we were experiencing in the moment with the program, and what we had, you know, just how we were evolving and taking this kind of like spiritual journey. And it was just like, it was an instant connection, like instant, just being at the same place, experiencing the same thing, and sharing the same passions.
Feels like
Yeah.
divine design dropped you in the same place. Yeah, Kelly, what, share your side.
Yeah, no, I mean, Nadine did a beautiful job. And I remember the first conversation that we had on the phone together. And, I think it was just instant. And we found out we were both Capricorns, and that just sealed the deal. Like,
That's why you think like me. Hold on. Yeah.
I know. And our brothers even have the same name. And it's just, so there were all these little synchronicities that kept popping
Mhm.
up. And, we both were, like she said, on this journey together that was extremely vulnerable. I mean, we were hired to take enrollment calls with women who were struggling in relationship. And these calls were anywhere from, an hour and a half to 2 hours, some of them, and we were going deep in these conversations, really digging up all the dirt on the ladies that we were talking to for the purpose of calling them forward to themselves so that they could, understand what was going on in their patterns, in their history, and make a shift, right? And having both been through this program, we understood the vulnerability and the just the ability, like she said, letting your guard down, how important that is. And so we're both students, right? We're both students of this coach, and we're also learning how to be able to hold space for the ladies that we talk to, be able to witness their journey and honor their journey and reflect it back to them. I mean, those calls were as much for our own growth as they were for the women that we talked to.
Mhm.
Well, 100%, the healing that you see in yourself as you're listening to those who are starting their seeker's path. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so it was just, and the two of us going through this together, and, having these tough calls. Like, these calls were not easy to have with these ladies. I mean, some of them had been through a lot of trauma, and some of them were very resistant to going deeper. And it was our job to really draw them out, to really allow them to feel the feelings and all of that. And to do that on a phone call with a stranger is no easy task, right? And so we would do these debriefs with our coach and with our team. And some of those calls, they were just tough, and some of the debriefs were tough, and we had to learn how to grow through those with each other. And I don't know that I could have done that alone. The other gals who were taking calls were more experienced. They just had done it longer. And so having Nadine kind of to hold hands with while we were going through this process of growth ourselves it was the only way, honestly, that I could
Yeah.
have imagined myself doing it for very long. So
It was the first time, like, that I was able to connect that I had a very high emotional intelligence. And I was in connection with someone else that shared that same emotional intelligence, same level of emotional intelligence. And then we're growing as we are experiencing and learning. It was like we're learning, we're healing, we're growing, we're evolving all at the same time. And it was, for me, I was just starting to really see places where I had opportunity for growth from a career perspective, and so it was just been a beautiful, inspiring, enlightening journey to have someone alongside you that just understands and without judgment and is holding space. I just think it's the biggest blessing we can have on our journey.
I think so often, and this is for those who are listening in, people are afraid to take that leap of faith, to sign up for that course, to connect with others that they don't know. There's like safety in staying small or playing small, or being in your own comfort zone. And when it's only when you take those those chances, or you sign up, or you create those vulnerabilities, that you attract others who are, going to be those really important people in your life. It's like we settle or we stay put or stay stuck, and it seems like, that you two, in probably a very challenging time in your lives, took that leap of faith, took that risk, took that chance, really put yourselves out there. And that's it's admirable, it's courageous, it's beautiful, but necessary.
So
Absolutely. Yeah.
it's so important. Yeah,
yeah.
go ahead, Kelly.
I was just going to say it's so interesting how your tribe changes through your journey, just the people that come into your lives, like you were saying, Susan, when you're willing to kind of go out on a limb and do something for yourself, your tribe might shift. And there's a little bit of a challenge with that sometimes too, of letting go of friends who, like you were saying earlier, Nadine, don't speak your language anymore because you're using new words and phrases that that resonate more with you. And maybe your friends are not quite on the same journey as you. And so they kind of start to fade away as you build a tribe on your growth journey. And
Right.
so it can be a bittersweet bite for sure.
Yeah, but in order to, sometimes we have to create space, for new and greater opportunities, new and greater friendships. And, everything in the past has served us, those friends and acquaintances and family members, they all got you, to the point that they could get you on your journey. And then, you had to fly.
It's being comfortable, being with the uncomfortableness. So I think that from that, this beautiful seeding that you guys did of planting the seed and giving vulnerability and holding space, keywords that we all use in when we're having these kind of conversations, is where your podcast came about. Because I feel like what you're mentioning, and it's something that Susan and I talk a lot about, and what we just finished talking about, those 5 or 3 or 2 or 1 person that holds space for you. And when it's in that shift, and I love when people like put these videos about how like your spiritual growth feels like this, and you're just like, wait, it's like slapping you around. And it's really a tough and dark time because you feel lonely, you feel like you're kind of going crazy. Because you're talking differently, you're feeling differently, you're connecting now with your gut and your heart, and now your mind is at a different state, and your ego is kicking in hardcore, and your ego is like, are you nuts? What are you saying? No one was going to believe what you're saying, and you just have to kind of calm all of this energy in your chakras. And I want to hear a little bit about how you guys decided to take this time to say, not only are we holding space for each other, how can now we help those that are out there in the same space that we have been, and give them some light and some whole space for that. So please tell us a little bit about your podcast.
Yeah, Nadine, do you want to share how the idea came up?
Yeah, I always love to say, she asked and I said yes. Yes, Kelly told me, and we were talking daily, having very lengthy conversations and really holding space for each other as we were growing and healing, as I had mentioned. And you need someone like that in your life. These are our soul fractals, right? Like you need someone throughout that journey. And I knew, I had this intuitive feeling that Kelly and I, it was more to it than just the journey of our friendship. I felt like there was some sort of collaboration for us. And I felt that very, very early on. And I just said, okay, we're going to let this naturally play out. We did discuss a couple of things, and a few months went by, and understanding each other's human designs, understanding our profiles, like, okay, let's just, we're going to just let this happen naturally and let this evolve naturally as it may. And Kelly, did you have a dream or?
Yeah. I had a dream one night and we were podcasting together, and it was being on a podcast was something, or hosting a podcast was something that I had been stewing over for quite some time, but I just, again, being in my comfort zone, was scared to do it by myself. And there was something that was keeping me from doing it for myself. And so, yeah, so that's when I was on the phone with Nadine, as we always are on the phone almost daily. And I wasn't even planning on mentioning my dream to her. And it just came out. It just came out. So I didn't think that there was going to be anything that came from it. I certainly didn't think she was going to say yes. And just threw it out there. And her gut was like, let's do it. So
Yeah, it was
So
a
tell us
full
more about the actual podcast. What the name is interesting. Intrigued. I'm intrigued.
yeah, so Sawubona is actually a South African greeting, and it just means we see you, and we meaning me and my ancestors. So they bring the entirety of kind of their humanity to the table when they're, greeting each other. And it's a beautiful word that I learned a couple years ago, and kind of forgot about. But as we were brainstorming ideas for the podcast, what it was going to be about, what we were going to call it, and I had like giant Post-it notes hung up all over my wall with, just as we were on the phone, just writing different ideas down. And that one was, I think, it came to me later, and I brought it to Nadine and shared the word with her, and you just loved it, right, Nadine?
Yes. Again,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes. I mean, I think the platform for us was more about, like, for me, I kept getting the word witnessing. Like, how do we witness others? Like, we are able to witness each other. And this is, an intricate part of our dynamic. And so I wanted to be able to give back in that same manner. And so, we brainstormed for a day, slept on it, came back, and then she's like, I got the name Sawubona. And I'm like, we see it. I'm like, we wanted something unique and different, and just something that really represented what our intentions were for this community.
That is beautiful. Beautiful.
Oh.
So guest speakers, topics du jour, just kind of inspired by what's happening.
Yeah, we'd like to talk about all the things, as do you guys. So it's a lot of spirituality, human design, intuition has come up quite a bit on our podcast. That's been really popular with our listeners, talking about our intuition, talking about our connection with angels and guides, and that kind of thing. So that's been really huge. Of course, we've talked about human design. We've talked about parenting a number of times, relationships. So because we're holistic beings, we talk about all the things that are coming up for us, as if, we're sharing the conversations with the community at large. Because if we're having these things coming up for us, we know that we're not the only ones.
100%, 100%.
100%.
It's always ironic to me that, everybody kind of is growing through the same things, like whether it's planetary alignment, or whether, you're feeling some sort of way, or it's just, seasonal, or what's happening. It's like the themes are always on point. It's like, I needed to hear that. And I'm like, I needed to say that, it's like, yeah. So I love that, just following your intuition. And, I do hope that our listeners, because our listeners, can very much benefit from more perspectives and other things. And, so I think it's cool. I think it's a great, a great addition to the repertoire.
Thank you. Our tagline is the art of awakening. And so I feel like we've been really focused on your transitions. Everyone's going through a certain transition, and you need to be seen and you need to be held. And we are putting ourselves in a place where we want to see you, and we want to hold you. We want to create space for you. We want you to know that you are not alone. And Kelly and I are, we're on our journey too. So we felt like that was an appropriate tagline as people start to, when you're in this transition and you're learning and you're healing and you're going through your awakening, so to
Yes.
speak.
Yeah.
Yes, holding space for each other and, authentic conversations is all about reminding everyone that sometimes we need somebody to be right there by our side. It's our community building, those around us, holding space for each other. And also that, yes, we are all talking about the same thing, but everyone listens and learns differently. I mean, Susan and I talk about this all the time when our little ego starts coming in and saying, well, who are you to say this? Already Don Miguel Ruiz wrote a great book about it. Gabby Bernstein wrote a great book about it. But I keep being reminded, especially this year, that yes, there's a lot of it out there, but we have to continue to hold the space and light that candle for the people that are right next to you. Because we think that it's out there for everybody. But guys, what we are doing by putting these podcasts out there, by holding out workshops, by the Susan that does her life coaching, working with the youth in athletes, mixing it in, Kelly, you working with parents, holding space for them, Nadine, you helping others hold their space where they live by balancing it out. We are touching the people that are in our community. And that is how we're going to change the energy of this planet and create heaven on earth here. And we think that it is.
Yeah, you can never have too many healers. You can never have too many healers. And there is never enough modalities to offer and deliver.
Yes. So it's so important to continue to share each other's platforms and share each other as a community and rise each other, because when you rise, I rise, and when I rise, you rise with me. And that is how we're going to change this planet for the future of our children, our grandchildren, those that are coming after us. We're going to change it. And so thank you so, so much. Again, blessings for stopping by and making the time to join us in Authentic Conversation. We are so honored to have you, and we can't wait to have you back, probably maybe individually, so Kelly could do a little bit of parenting talk, and I need to have Nadine come in here and talk a little bit about Feng Shui, which I love so much. Yes, this is just a beginning of a continuation of conversations and energy exchange. So please, from the bottom of our hearts.
Can you spell your podcast for me? Spell it so that.
Sure, you can look it up for As We See You, and then Sawubona is SAWUBONA.
Okay, perfect.
Fabulous. And we are going to attach everything on. We are on YouTube, Spotify, and the podcast. So we will make sure that all of that in your Instagram page is posted there, so our fans can find you and follow you. And you are on podcasts, Kelly. And where else can they find you?
Apple.
Yeah, they can find me on Instagram at kelly.cole.smith.
And Nadine?
I'm at seasaltandsoul.com.
Okay.
SISALTAND salt, SALT.
Yes. We will have all of this. Definitely make sure that it's attached so that our fans who are loyal to us, and if you are new joining us, again, thank you for joining us. And please spread the word, spread the love, because by sharing is how that algorithm works and how we all get to share our voice with others. So if there is something here that reminded you of somebody that could hear this message, please pass it forward. We appreciate your love. Love and peace, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Sawubona.
you.
Thank
Sawubona.
you.
Sawubona.
Pleasure.
Love it.